Hello, book lovers. I'm Kiki, and welcome back to my little corner on the internet. Today, I am going to show you what I've read in July because I think it's easier to do individual monthly wrap-ups than just a big one in the middle of the year and one at the end of the year. I tried it out with the mid-year wrap-up. Didn't work the way I liked it to. So I thought I would just show you the books from least favorite to favorite book of the month that I read this month in July. Because July does exist, guys. Don't know what happened. Anyway, I actually ended up reading 16 books, and I'm really proud of myself for that because at first it did not look like I would be managing that. And I think the thing I am most proud about is the fact that I actually ended up finishing my July TBR. Okay, let's start off by looking at my DNFs because I actually had 3. So I ended up DNFing Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Other Stories by Lewis Carroll, and I did read Alice's Adventures and then Through the Looking Glass. It's just, I really can't be bothered to read the rest. This was very much a, like, look at how pretty this is buy, and I'm kicking myself a little bit for it, but it looks so pretty on the shelves, so it is what it is. And then I DNF'd Die Fabelmacht-Chroniken, Book 2, Brennende Worte by Katrin Lange. And I was expecting to DNF this because the first one just didn't progress and end in a way where I was sure that I would want to know how it actually ends, or more that I didn't care about how it ends because it was very obvious how it would end, in my opinion. So this was just a meh book. I don't even know how far I made it. It's just wasn't for me. And then the book I'm probably the most disappointed about is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. And I had honestly thought that I would enjoy this book quite a lot, and I ended up not loving it. And that's honestly kind of sad, but it is what it is. I wasn't vibing with the characters or the world building or just the way it was written. Love that it was dual point of view, but that's about it. I really thought that the premise was amazing. For me, it just lacked execution, I guess. I ended up reading a couple of reviews online, and then I also realized that this is technically the first in a duology or something, and I can't be bothered. So unfortunately, this, which seems to be a very popular book, is actually a DNF. Okay, now let's look at the books I actually ended up finishing. I'm gonna have to see where I put them, but my least favorite of the ones that I finished ended up being Herc by Phoenicia Rogerson, and I ended up giving this 2.75 stars, which I at first thought was kind of harsh, but it's just, I didn't care in the end. I really liked the idea that Herc's story was told from the points of view of the people that ended up interacting with him throughout his life and their lives. And that was really cool. And we got a lot of women telling the story, which is something that I always really appreciate, but it just didn't grab me that much. I don't know what it was exactly, if it was the writing or if it was just me not connecting to it or the way it was sort of done. I don't know, just 2.75 stars. Really wasn't my favorite, which is really sad, but this seems to be a little bit of a trend at the moment where books, especially Greek mythology books, that I thought I would really, really enjoy end up being a bit of a letdown. So I might have to see if I just stop reading those for a while, but unfortunately, this is it. And then I have 2 books that I gave 3.5 stars. For one, it was 16 Souls, which I read on my Kindle, and I was quite positively surprised by that one. I honestly didn't think I would even finish it or like it. And yeah, I was really positively surprised. I am going to be reading the next book in the duology. I just don't know when. And then I ended up giving Tote Lügen nicht by Katie Reichs 3.5 stars, which is called Déjà Dead, I believe, in English. And it is a surprise to everyone. Yeah, Déjà Dead. Because I've technically reread this book so many times that I was sure it would probably end up being a 5-star just purely because it's a reread. But I think because it's a reread and I have just read it so many times at this point, I knew what was going to happen, even though I haven't read it in years. So I think that was the problem with it. Overall, I do really like Katie Reichs' books, although I'm going to see how I'm going to fare with them now that I'm not loving them as much, apparently. Then I listened to The Screaming Staircase, which is the first Lockwood and Co. book, which was technically also a reread, and I gave that 3.75 stars. And I think it's a good start to a series. I'm really intrigued and I'm looking forward to reading the next one. And same thing with Maya and the Return of the Godlings, which is the second book in a trilogy. And I am really excited to see the conclusion of that story, probably in August. We'll see when I get to it. But the physical book that I read that I gave 3.75 stars, which surprised me, was A Funny Story by Emily Henry. Because Emily Henry does tend to be, if not a high 5-star, at least like a 3.7, a high 4-star. At least a 3.75. Well, it is a 3.75. I meant full. I don't remember what I rated the others, actually. Never mind. I think I gave People We Meet on Vacation 3.75 stars. And I was like, ooh, I didn't really like that one. So, maybe I gave that 3.25 stars. Anyway, it was cute. I kind of liked it. Kind of missed the dual point of view. I do like romances that have dual POV, but it's just like, it wasn't her best work. And then for my 3-4 stars, I love how I have like 3 books a lot. I read Fearless by Lauren Roberts, which is the last book in the Powerless trilogy, apart from the little novella that's gonna come out. And like I said, 4 stars, solid ending. I feel, just liked it, didn't love it in terms of 5-star, but I feel it was solid. And then I also read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I enjoyed quite a bit. It's just, I feel like it was a little flat and dragging in the middle there, if that makes sense. So, like, because one of the big reveals is sort of so early on in the book, which makes sense, but it does sort of tamper the excitement for it a little bit. But I do understand why so many people love this book. It's just not necessarily going to be one of my favorites. It was still really solid though. And then I also gave Schlangenkuss, which is the second in the Romeo and Juliet Society trilogy, 4 stars. And I cannot wait to read the third one, which I will be doing really soon. I keep saying that, I feel, but it's just like, I really want to see how this ends. So yeah, I mean, it is on, I think it's on my TBR for August, but really solid middle book, actually, because we're still getting, sometimes, like, you know, middle book syndrome is just like, sometimes it just gets so bad, but this didn't, because of where we ended book 1. like, it was a nice progression of the story. I feel like that's the best review I can give it. And then, wait a second. That's wrong. Guys, I lied. I freaking lied. The 4-star is the first book, and the second book is a 4.25 stars. So I actually read both the first and second book in this trilogy in July, which is surprising. I thought I read this in June, but anyway. So they're really good. I'm really enjoying them. I really like the Shakespeare part of it. Like, I've never read Romeo and Juliet. I don't know if I will ever read Shakespeare, if I ever do that to myself. But overall, I'm really enjoying those books. Okay, now, 4.25 stars, I forgot to take like half of the books with me, apparently. I gave Reckless, which is the second book in the Powerless trilogy, 4.25 stars, so that's surprising. Maybe I'm giving it 4 stars. I don't know. Thinking about it now, I don't know if this was better than the third one. I just know that the third one really wasn't anything above a 4. Anyway, enjoyed it. Enjoyed the whole trilogy, to be honest. Didn't read the whole trilogy in July, but it is what it is. I'm enjoying them. I think they're really solid books. I understand why a lot of people like them. I do understand how for other people it can be kind of difficult to get over the similarities to other books, and that enjoyment is then just diminished because of the similarities. Either way, I personally enjoyed reading them. Now, another book I gave 4.25 stars was The Ship of the Dead, which is the third in the Magnus Chase books, and really solid ending to the trilogy. Really enjoyed the Percabeth cameo, and which is coming up. I also finished the first book in the Trials of Apollo, which was also nice because we got a little nod to Magnus Chase in that. So really, I'm liking Rick Riordan, especially like when the Greek gods are involved. So solid book. My favorite of the trilogy, and there's not really much more to say because most of these books I read in some other video. And then I also read Take a Hint, Dani Brown, which I also gave 4.25 stars by Talia Hibbert. I enjoyed this a bit more than Get a Life, Chloe Brown, I think. It's just with the fake dating and the university setting and the nods to like the Orisha, never know how to pronounce it. All of that, I really liked it. It was a solid read. At one point I was like, oh, maybe this could potentially be a 5-star, but I don't know. And then unfortunately it wasn't, but really, really solid read. And I'm really looking forward to the last Sisters book in this trilogy, which is, forgot her name already. I'm so sorry. So Eve was the first, and then Chloe was the first. Eve is the last. There we go. Now, The Hidden Oracle, which is the first book in the Trials of Apollo series, I gave 4.5 stars. Might be a bit gracious, but I don't know. The only thing that really annoyed me about this book is that Apollo's a little bitch sometimes, and he was a whiny, and I didn't appreciate that throughout the whole book. But then again, he has every right to, so it is what it is. Now, I actually did have 2 5-star reads in July, and I'm really happy about those. I don't know if I can really count Sapphire Blue. Sapphire Blue? Yeah, by Kerstin Gier as a true 5-star read, because the amount of times I have reread this book, I feel it's like, I say this every single time I talk about these books, but these are the books that got me into reading. Without these, none of this would exist, okay? So this just, it was so wonderful to reread in a new format, with like new little details added, and the epilogue. Anyway, love it, gorgeous, cannot wait for Emerald Green to come out and read it. Now, the only true 5-star read of July was Flawless by Elsie Silver, and I could kick myself for taking so long to finally pick these up, or this one particularly, because it was amazing. I loved it. I still get happy thinking about it, which is how I know that this is truly a 5-star read. And that makes me so happy. And I talked about this enough in the video where I read it in, so I will link that. Anyway, loved it, amazing, wonderful. Which means that I can update. I was thinking of updating it every single time I finished a book, but I can update my little blackboard because having read 16 books and DNF'd 3, I am at a total of 125 read books so far this year, which means I'm only 25 away from reaching my goal. And I have a physical TBR of 188, which is amazing and makes me really happy. The fact that I had like quite a few lower rated like books, I still have an average rating of 4.03 stars this month, so amazing, and I love it. I mean, obviously my favorites were Sapphire Blue and Flawless, but honestly I feel like I still had quite a good time, like quite a good reading month. Like I got quite a few books off of my like physical TBR. I forgot, I also added a book to my physical TBR. My goodness, where's my brain at? This is also going to be slightly ironic because I just said that I am trying to cut back on the Greek mythology a bit, but then I went ahead and bought the Iliad by Homer, translated by Emily Wilson. And listen, I read the Odyssey a month or two ago, and yeah, I think. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the translation. I enjoyed finally reading the source material. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get it. And I just think they're gonna look really cool together on the shelf. Also, with Epic now getting Ilium as company as well, I feel like I really need to read this before the musical comes out, so I can just know beforehand. Anyway, that was my month of July. I'm really happy with it. Thank you so much for watching. Do let me know what your favorite and your least favorite book in July was in the comments below, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!